Chavrusa Daf. Okay, welcome back to Chavrusa Daf.
Chavrusa Daf.
We are on the Mishnah on Nun Zayin Amid Aleph.
Nun Zayin?
Nun Zayin. We're going to go to the new parak. Or yesterday.
Amid Okay, Nun Zayin Amid Aleph. Listen, you know what it happens? It happens that people fall off the wagon. It happens that people, sometimes you miss a few days and you feel like I can't get back up. That's what we're here.
I feel like garbage.
Listen, why do you feel like garbage?
No, it's not.
Because I think, you know what? When someone asks, my CEO always says, after like a presentation, someone asks a question. Like people always are scared to ask questions. Like, but the question you're asking, probably 10 other people have that same question, but they're scared to ask it. So thank you for bringing up your feelings, because there's 10 other people that are listening that feel the same way.
You're right near the shul.
I'm up to, honestly, I'm up to Daf Nun Aleph.
Okay.
Nun Aleph. So I did keep some pace.
Okay.
And it happens to be a lot of these dafim are very short, so I'm optimistic I will make it up. So I'm really only about 6 to 7 block behind, and I'm curious what's going to happen as I deflect the question when we get to Gittin in next Thursday. Like, is that something we're going to try for?
I mean, have you learned getting it on yeshiva?
Yeah.
So, hopefully the familiarity will help us get through it. But I would be nervous about getting it. So let's do Nazir.
But I think if we try, we get like the Schar Halicha, and then like even if we fall off after 3 days.
I don't think you're gonna fall off. The kids are very strong.
That's true.
So anyways.
Okay, we're on Daf 57. Nun Zayin.
Great.
You're gonna lead us with the Mishnah.
Shnei. So this is Perik Shnei Nazirim. Not one, but two.
Kain Gadol was a long parak.
Did you want to see the intro?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Introduction to chapter 8. The following parak deals with various uncertainties that may beset a Nazir and how he extricates himself from them. 2 uncertainties are discussed. 1, possibility of the Nazir having become Tameh from corpse, and 2, the possibility of the Nazir having become a Mitzvah. We've discussed it before. The possibility of having contracted either of these forms of Tameh creates multiple problems for Nazir. 1, he must purify himself of them in order to be able to complete his Naziris, and 2, when purifying himself of Tsaras or performing his Nazir Tameh's ritual, a person shaves his head, and the Nazir may only shave if he is definitely Tameh. So that's a problem. If he is uncertain about his Tameh, though, he cannot shave out of concern, because he might be a Nazir Tahar who is forbidden to shave. Alright, so we'll discuss, I guess. 3, after purifying himself, the Nazir must offer certain sacrifices, as must a Nazir contaminated by a corpse. As a rule, however, obligatory sacrifices may be only offered when the obligation is certain. So what does he do if he is a son? 4, in extricating himself from these uncertainties, the Nazir encounters a 4th problem. He reaches a point in his maneuverings at which it is possible, but not certain, that he has concluded his Naziris, completed all the associated obligations, and is thus no longer a Nazir at all. Shaving his head again to resolve the remaining doubts is now forbidden because of the prohibition of Loisa Kipu Basra shave him. You're not allowed to shave your head, right? You can't cut your payas. Forbids a man to shave off the hair of his temples. Prohibition gives way in the face of a Nazir's obligation to shave his head, right? Because we said mitzvah is Teichel Loisasei. Asei is Teichel Loisasei. And the mitzvah's obligation to shave his entire body shaved, but only if the obligation is certain. Once it is possible that he is no longer Nazir or mitzvah at all, he may not violate the prohibition. Yes, Ellie?
Okay, great.
So, the various strategies needed by a Nazir to navigate through these difficulties and reach the conclusion of his Naziris is the complicated but fascinating subject of this chapter. To facilitate this discussion, we help to review the different sacrificial offerings required for each of the underlying situations. That is, a Nazir Tahar brings an oila, which is a lamb, chatas lamb, shlamim lamb. A Nazir Tameh brings an oila bird, a chatas bird, and an asham lamb. And a Mitzvah brings an Oila, Chatas, and Asha, and impoverished. Okay, maybe we'll reference this when we get there. I don't think we're just going to memorize that. Shnei Nazirim. She'amar lehen. I think, Eli, I'd like for you to read, actually.
Shnei Nazirim she'amar lahen echad. Two Nazirim, to whom someone said, Re'isi echad mikem shenitma. I saw one of you become tameh from a corpse. Ve'eni yodea eza mikem. But I do not know which of you became tameh.
Okay.
Midgalchen, they both shaved their heads at the conclusion of their terms. So let's assume they did a 30-day term.
Okay.
Umevian carbon tuma v'carbon tahara, and they bring a carbon for tuma and a sacrifice for tahara. Since it is not known which set of karbanos applies to which person, v'oimer, one of them says, Im ani hu tameh, if I am the one who was tameh, carbon tuma shali v'carbon tahara shalcha. The carbon for tuma is mine, and the carbon for tahara is yours. V'manihu hatar, but if I am the one who is tahar, carbon tahara shali, the carbon for tahara is mine. The carbon tahara is the one that you bring at the end of your nazirs. But carbon tuma shalcha, and the carbon for tuma is yours. The sofer and shleishim yom, they then count 30 days more. Umevian carbon tahara, and bring jointly a sacrifice for tahara. V'omer imanihu hatameh, and one of them says, if I was the one who was tameh, carbon tuma shali v'carbon tahara shalcha, the carbon for tuma previously offered was mine. I'm the one who was tameh. Okay, and the tahara carbon previously offered was yours. V'zeh carbon taharasi, and this is my carbon. This is my concluding sacrifice. V'manihu hatar, but if I was the one who was tar all along, carbon tar shali, then the carbon brought for tar previously offered was mine. The carbon tuma shalcha, and the carbon for tuma previously offered was yours. V'zeh carbon taharasecha, and the carbon that we're bringing now is your carbon for tahara.
So they bring two carbonas at the end of 30 days.
Right. So first of all, initially when I saw that one of them became tummy, they knew which one it was. But
no, they don't either know.
They don't either know. Like, I saw you guys walking, and you ended up, one of you cut through the cemetery, and he's like, what? I was totally on my phone. I didn't even see which one it was. He's like, I'm not really sure, but I know for sure one of you, because I saw you guys wearing the baseball caps. No one in town wears baseball caps, and I saw you walking, and one of you guys walked through, but you're wearing the same baseball cap. I can't really tell.
Mm-hmm. That's why you knew they were Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta do a better job than that.
And then.
So basically, what do? Now they're suffix them. They don't know which one. So they wait till the end of the nazirs. One of them is going to actually be finishing his nazirs.
Right.
One is not. So at the end of those 30 days, they bring two sets of the karbanos. The karbanos for Toma, the karbanos for Tara.
Right.
Great. And they say, whichever one is, if I'm this one, then great. If I'm not, then not. Right? Okay.
Right, because at the end of Tuma also you have to bring, at the end of those 7 days, assuming this happened with a week to go, you have to get clean before you can restart.
You gotta get clean. Yeah. Yes. So exactly. So then that 30 days is the restart.
Yeah.
That's where the tummy guy is. Well, one of them is going to restart, and then 30 days later they again bring two sets of carbonas, right?
Yeah. 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 And you're able to verbalize, you're able to bestow power based on whichever one it is.
So that's
using
an
your
interesting
mouth.
concept, in my opinion. I mean, I think you've seen this elsewhere, but can you bring a carbon misafik? Can you bring a carbon if you don't know who exactly? Do you have to have clarity when bringing a carbon that this is mine? or you got to do this, like shtick. If it's not me, then I love it. Like, does that work? I guess it does. See right here, it does. Cool.
So that's the Mishnah.
That is it.
So if someone ever stops you in the street and says, hey, did you ever do the first Mishnah in the 8th parak of Nazir about two Nazirim? You'll say, yeah, I did that with Eli Langer in March of 2023.
Yeah, go on YouTube, find it.
Yeah, like, ooh, go on YouTube, find it. It's forever there. YouTube's forever. Duh. YouTube's
Except for
never
that
going
April
away.
Fool's joke that they did, remember?
What was that?
They said YouTube is, they did it right before April Fool's. They said, okay guys, we had a great run. YouTube, we just wanted to start it, but now we're closing it down. We don't need it anymore. You know, and Antoine Donson was there. And all like the big YouTubers, Charlie Bit My Finger was there. He's like, yeah, we got all the good videos and now we don't need it.
And Mr. B said, hold up a second. Okay. Questions of doubtful tumah are normally decided according to the domain in which the uncertainty occurred. Doubts in a public domain are rendered tahar. Those in a private domain are ruled tameh. The Gemara now applies this rule to our Mishnah. So if you have doubtful tumah, the Rav will be like, where did it take place?
Exactly.
And he says, oh, it was Rosh Hashanah. Tahar! It was in my bedroom. Are you homeless? No, it's a Rosh Hashanah. Tameh!
Yeah.
So the Gemara now applies this rule to our Mishnah. Tani shnei nazirim she'amar lahem. The Mishnah has taught the case of two nazirim to whom an individual said, Risi echad mikem shenitma v'nidei yezemikom. Mikem. I saw one of you become tummy from a corpse, but I do not know which of you. The Mishnah treats each of the nazirim as possibly tummy.
Right.
The Mishnah requires them to participate jointly in a Nazir Tammuz offering and observe 60 days of Nazirs out of doubt.
Yeah.
Why? Kol safek tumah b'rshus hayachad mehecha yalfinin la. After all, the law for any doubtful tumah arising in a private domain is derived from what? Mi saita. From the laws of saita. Ma saita b'el v'nevelas. Therefore, just as in the case of saita, the only two persons present are the adulterer and the adulteress. Af kol safek tumah b'rshus hayachad. So too, every doubtful tumah is regarded as occurring in a private domain. He gained the ika betre, in a case which there are no more than two persons present. Aval hacha, but here in the case of a Mishnah, shnei nazirim b'haydeka gabehan. There are two nazirim plus the one witness who is standing to them. Hatlasa, making for a total of three persons. Havilay safek tumah b'shus harabim, which should therefore be considered a case of doubtful tumah in a public domain. B'chol safek tumah b'shus harabim safekai tahar. And any doubt tumah arising in a public domain is ruled tahar. Why doesn't the Mishnah say treat the two nazirim as possibly tameh?
Question: the fact that there's three people makes this a Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah.
Is that what it's saying?
No. But before that, someone said Eli Stefanski had a Nazir on his podcast. When they get to Saita, is he going to bring on the Saita? This one is not for the children. Okay. There's the law of the Saita. I just want for all those that are unfamiliar and they're driving in the car in the year 2042 and they're like, I'm not really all that from, and I love the Chavrusa Daf, but I don't know what a Sota is. Note 12. A married woman who disregarded her husband's warning against secluding herself with a particular man is known as a Saita. Unless it could be proven otherwise, she is presumed to have committed adultery, may undergo the test described in the Torah, and is therefore forbidden to her husband. I skipped a line. Whoops! To prove her innocence, she may undergo the test described in the Torah. But until she does, she is presumed guilty, even though no one saw them actually engage in an intimate act. Seclusion is the reason for the conclusion. Since the Torah refers to adultery as tumah, the case of Sota serves as a paradigm for tumah in general. Accordingly, just as the woman who was previously warned is presumed an adulteress, tameh, by virtue of her seclusion, so too when a question of tumah arises in a private or secluded domain and the true facts of the case cannot be established, the item or person in question is presumed to be tameh. So our Mishnah, which said, I saw one of you become tameh, but I don't know which of you, we treat them as tameh, frek the Gemara, if we're learning out tumah arising in a private domain from Saita. Saita is Rishas HaYachid. By Rishas HaYachid, there's two people. So to every doubtful tumah in Rishas HaYachid is learned out in a case which there are no more than two people.
So that's what it's saying, right? The two people is the Rishus Yachid aspect of it.
But because it's from Saita, Yichab, in the case of Saita, there weren't three people. It's two people. So over there, if you're going to use that case as the case, the Av Hatuma case, that we learn out that in that case, there are two people. When there's doubt, we consider it to be Tameh in that Rishos HaYachid. So over here, you got the two guys in a baseball cap. You got the one schnook who's like, I'm going to snitch on you. You got three people. It shouldn't be considered just a yachid in terms of doubtful tumah. It should be a public domain. And we know, as we prefaced, doubtful tumah in a Rishus HaRabim is treated according to the general rules for unresolved doubts. Accordingly, since these two Nazirim were certainly tar before the question of tumah arose, they are presumed to still be tar by virtue of the law of chazaka. Azayzak Taisvis. So why is this Halakha Mishnah treat them as Shnei Nazirim as Tameh? You understand?
I do.
Wow. Omar Rabba bar Rav Huna. Rabba, the son of Rav Huna. Yamoid Rabba bar Rav Huna Shlishi. Ba'oimer re'isi tumah shenizraka v'nechem. The case of our Mishnah is where the witness says, I saw from a distance that source of tumah was thrown between you. But the witness himself was not standing next to them. He was at least 4 amos away. Accordingly, the Nazirim are considered to be in a separate domain from the witness, and since there are only 2 Nazirim, the uncertainty is treated as rising in a private domain. I don't need your snorts. Actually, I'm going to make Rabbi Bar Rav Huna the center of attention. Yamod Rabbi Bar Rav Huna. Excellent answer. You want to say it wasn't Rishus HaYachid. It actually was, because the guy witnessing everything used his fuzzy binoculars. Yeah. And therefore they're considered secluded in their own domain. And it makes sense, Rebbe, because that's why he's initially hazy. It wasn't from any marijuana. It was from the fact that he was far away. He was munching into a falafel sandwich through the window across the street, and he's like, I think I saw that dead body be thrown between or like, two guys. Yeah, like whatever it is. I don't want to get into like the laws of tumah and what makes someone tameh, but like the source of tumah was thrown between you.
And they saw it. And you see something, say something.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me tell you something. Amar Rav Ashi, Dekanami, this can also be inferred from a precise reading of our Mishnah.
I don't know which one. Shmami na.
Whoa. You're not saying, I'm saying. Why would you do that?
Something happened since we last learned together,
What happened?
I don't know. You're a different man. You're wearing a button-down shirt.
I'm doing a podcast today with Dan's Deals.
Oh my gosh, that's really cool. Do you have some good questions lined up?
Yeah, got a lot of questions.
Because I'm actually very excited. I'm a big chassid of Daniel.
Why? Because you buy deals that you may or may not need?
Oh, so you're going to ask him about that?
Of course.
Ask him about why he has so many Cuisinart. How many people are buying a set of 8 pots, every day?
Oh, do they post that a lot?
Oh my gosh. It's hilarious. If I went right now and you looked at his last 10, I bet you there's either a set of knives or a set of pans.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him about, posting things that people may or may not need. Is it a deal? It's not a deal if you don't need it.
He'll always say,
There's someone somewhere that needs it.
lowest price ever on Amazon. There's usually a big headline, it's never been lower than this. So is that a deal? Probably. And he probably sees like top things that are bought, and he gets a referral every time someone clicks.
We will delve into this.
I think. Are you going to ask him about his like trips and his vacations and his
Yeah,
flying
sure.
everywhere?
A bit more like story-based, like going through his arc.
Yeah, I want to hear about the arc.
Sure, no problem. I'll take care of it. But I just
Big
want to.
baseball fan.
Yeah, we're gonna go through the World Series. But Rav Ashi's basically pointing out from the Mishnah
back to
that this guy said, "I didn't know which of you were contaminated."
Yes.
Shmami, no, I learned from this. He wasn't standing next to them.
Yes.
So that is Amud Aleph. We have now conquered the first Amud in the 8th Perek in Mesechtas Nazirim. Mesechtas Nazir. But I will tell you this: this daf is not over. V'haraya, it continues. Megalchun u'mevin, they shave their heads and bring offerings jointly.
Jointly.
Oh, the marijuana.
Yes. It's back.
Why are both? When are they shaving their heads?
Are you going to ask Dan if he does the daf? Oh, it's Chavrusa Daf, isn't it?
No, I will not be doing that. I'm very transparent. I'm not going to be asking him about the daf. They are Lubavitch. Did you know that?
By the way, I didn't know it's brother. It's JJ's his brother?
Yeah.
What?
They have like 6 boys or something in the family.
Oh, wow. Cool. So it's like you and Yaakov doing business together.
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice. Cool.
I think we should stop here.
Yeah?
Psych! Where are they shaving? Where are they shaving their heads? Hold on.
So,
Where in the Mishnah did they shave their heads?
okay.
And where in the story
Right
are?
in the beginning. Right in the beginning. At the end of 30 days, right? They shave. And they bring... Carbon someone comes down?
If it's the end of your... If you weren't Tameh, then you shave your head, right? If you were Tameh, then you also shave your head.
We should know this by now, but...
I know, I just told you.
Okay, there we go.
A Nazir Tameh, before he becomes Tahar, will shave his head.
He does, right?
Yeah. But I think you need 7 days, Rebbe.
So yeah, I'm like glancing a note. Ordinarily, this would be performed after the 7 days of purification from corpse tama, but due to the doubt as to which of them is tar, they must both wait 30 days before shaving.
They're waiting 30 days?
Okay.
No.
The guy, think of it like this. So, let's say it's 30 days, the term. If this suffix tama happens at 27, they can't just wait till day 30. Because the guy who does the tar the guy who is tameh would have to wait 7 days, do that purification process, which includes shaving head. They would both then simultaneously do the process at the end of his period. Same thing if it would be really early. Let's say they both become, this tameh thing happens on day 5 of the Naziris. Then the tameh guy is going to wait. Even though he did the 7-day purification, he waits to do the concluding sacrifices.
On day 37 or day 30?
Day 30. Day 30, because he had the 7.
Yeah.
And then
Meaning, but if it happened on day 28, he has to really
he's gonna
wait
have to
more
wait.
days.
Yes. Yeah.
But the other guy is going to shave on day... Oh,
No,
you can't. There's
they're
no other
both
guy.
gonna
They're
wait.
both going to wait, right? You don't
Yeah.
know which.
So that's... Why are they both permitted to shave? Dilma lav tameh and inun. Maybe they're not tameh v'ka'avid ha'kafan by shaving. The one who's tar is violating the prohibition against ramming for the head.
But what do you mean? They're both supposed to shave.
Anyways, because it's the end of the Naziris, right?
Yeah. What am I missing?
Unless... Oh, let's... Yeah, I think... Let's,
Oh, yeah. Second paragraph.
Yeah.
At first glance, the Gemara's question seems strange. The Mishnah states that the obligation to shave explicitly only in connection with the first round of offerings. At this point, however, both Nazirim have an obligation to shave, one first including ritual and one first tumor ritual. Evidently, the Gemara understands the Mishnah to mean not only do both Nazirim shave with the first round of offerings, but they shave again with the second round. Now, at that time, only the Nazir who has originally been tummy is obligated to shave his head. The one who originally been Tara ended his Naziris for the first round of concluding sacrifice and no longer permitted to shave his head. Since it is not known which Nazir was Tara, the Gemara asks that neither should be allowed to shave.
Very good question.
Great question.
So the Mishnah speaks of a woman or minor who are permitted to round the corners of their heads. A katan could be a Nazir.
So funny. I never thought that these were females.
We did have a Nazira.
I know, but like in my head, I was like, no, we're for sure talking about men. In the case of women, is separate. You know, like
You're just not woke enough.
yeah, no, but like there's nothing precluding the case of the Mishnah being a woman.
True.
And we said a katan, a minor, can also be a Nazir, right?
I always thought that like you say it for them, but you're doing, if you like make your son a Nazir, like you're kind of doing it, but
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the two minors have to be old enough and mature enough for the Nazir's vow to take effect, but young enough that they were not yet bound by the prohibition against rounding the head.
Yeah.
Boys between the age of 12 and 13. Remember we spoke about this.
Mm-hmm. Way back when. This is early Nazir days.
Medium, yeah. Okay, cool. Right, we did speak about that. Nice.
I have a question.
What is your question?
V'likmin b'gadol, but why not interpret the case of our Mishnah as involving adult men? The kafa is called a reish leishma hakafa. And as far as the prohibition against rounding is concerned, explain the Mishnah to hold that rounding the entire head is not considered rounding the corners and is not a violation of the prohibition against rounding. There's someone who holds...
Yeah, I remember this also.
that it's just rounding that's the issue.
Leaving everything else but cutting the payas. But if you just cut everything, you go full baldy.
I think there's a way to do it where it's not going to a violation.
So the answers the Gemara, Midolai Mukim Lahachi, since Shmuel does not interpret the Mishnah's case this way. Shema Mina Kasavar Shmuel. Shmuel obviously holds that it goes to Shema Gava. Accordingly, he was forced to explain the Mishnahs involving women or minors because he holds that if you cut your hair, I don't care if you're cutting every single piece of your hair off, that is still considered cutting the corners off of your head, which is not allowed.
A kaffa. Kaffas means go round. We go round and round in circles, like as if the world had done no wrong. The Gemara records a somewhat different version of the previous question and answer. Mar Zutra masni la lahashmata to Shmuel Asaf Eseifa. Mar Zutra taught the statement of Shmuel with respect to the end of the Mishnah. The Mishnah in 2 dafim from now. Mar Zutra taught Nazir shahayatami v'safik muchlak b'safik, a Nazir who was in doubt whether he was tummy from a corpse and also in doubt whether he was a confirmed mitzayra. Eichel b'kadashim la'achar shishim yaim. He may eat the sacred foods after 60 days. Umagaleach daled tiglachos, and he shaves his head 4 times. The first 2 times are as part of his 2 body shaves. If he was indeed a mitzayra, none of the first 60 days counted towards his term of Naziris, since the days of confirmed Naziris and the days of mitzayra counts between body shaves do not count towards the fulfillment of Nazir's terms. Thus, he must observe another 30 days and shave his head again, his 3rd shaving. However, it is possible he was both a mitzayra and a corpse tummy. If so, the 3rd shave was for his Nazir tummy ritual, and then must observe his full term of Naziris. He thus observes Nazir another 30 days and shaves his head for the 4th time. Okay, so you have a case over there, and we'll get to it, where Nazir, when he's in doubt, whether he was tamei, and also he's not sure if he's a confirmed mitzayra, he's allowed to eat the hektish after 60 days, and for whatever reason, he shaves 4 times. The Gemara raises a question of how he may do so. But he's rounding the corners of his head in violation of the prohibition to do so. Amar Shmuel, the Isha v'katan. Over there, the case of the Mitzayra and the Nazir, the reason he's able to shave so many times and it's not going to be a violation is because he is a she. It's a woman or it's a minor, neither of them who are subject to the restrictions on shaving. The Gemara proceeds to discuss the prohibition of rounding the corners of head as it relates to minors and women. One who rounds the corners of the head of a minor is liable for violating the prohibition against rounding. Right? You're not allowed to, according to Rav Huna, you're not allowed to round the corners of the head of a katan. Amar le Rav Ada bar Ahava Rav Huna. Rav Ada bar Ahava said to Rav Huna, "Bedidach man megalach lahain, and who shaves your children?" Amar le Chayva. Rav Huna replied, "My wife Chayva."
Personally.
Tik berinun Chayva lebaneh. Rav Ada bar Ahava responded, "Does Chayva wish to bury her children?" Rav Ada bar Ahava holds that there is no distinction between men and women in regard to the prohibition against rounding the head of a man or a boy. Thus, he argues that if it is forbidden for a man to round the head of a child, as Rav Huna maintains, then he is equally forbidden for a woman to do so. Rav Ada bar Ahava therefore expressed astonishment at Chover's indifference to the violation. So we certainly know how Rav Ada bar Ahava feels.
Rav Huna argues that. Rav Huna holds that a woman doesn't.
No, Rav Huna said one who rounds the corners of the head of a minor is liable. So even though a woman could, for herself, she can't do it for her children. A woman could do it for herself. A woman can't do it for her children. Rav Huna is the one who prefaced and said, "You're not a minor; is not allowed to cut the corners of the head. You're not allowed to round the corners." So Rav Ada bar Ahava says, "Psst, look at your children. They have rounded."
Yeah, that's weird.
No, and he's like, "Who's doing that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my wife who's doing it."
Which means, by saying his wife does it, he's of the opinion, says note 15, that the prohibition against rounding the corners of the child's head does not apply to women. But then Rav Ada's response back is, does she want to bury the children? He holds there's no distinction between men and women in regard to the prohibition against rounding the head of a man or a boy. Thus, he argues that if it is forbidden for a man to round the head of a child, as Rav Huna maintains, then it is equally forbidden for a woman to do so. But therefore express astonishment and closing difference. Okay, fine. Kul Shnei the Rav Ada bar Ahava. From all the years of Rav Ada bar Ahava's life, the offspring of Rav Huna did not survive.
Tragic.
His sons were lived, the children born to Rav Huna did not survive to adulthood. Sheesh. Though the Rav had no intention of cursing Chayv, but nonetheless the mere association of her name with tragedy by a great man took its toll like an erroneous edict issuing from the mouth of a mother. Kishkoga, so we always have to be careful with our words.
Let's analyze this dispute. Michti, Tarvayu Svir Hakafas Kala Rosh Shma Hakafa. Both Amoraim hold that rounding the entire head is considered rounding and a violation. With respect to what do they argue? Rav Huna Savar Loisakifu Pas Roshchem Loisashas Pas Konecha. The pasuk says you shall not round the corners of your heads and you shall not destroy the corners of your beard. By combining both prohibitions in a single pasuk, the Torah establishes the following analogy: Whoever is subject to the prohibition against destroying his beard is subject to the prohibition against rounding the corners of the head. Therefore, since these women are not subject to the prohibition against destroying their beards because they don't have them, they're also not subject to the prohibition against rounding the corners of the head, whether their own or someone else. That's Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, women can do that because they are not applicable to the beard, so therefore they can round the heads. of themselves and other people. But Barahava holds that when the Torah says you should not round the corners of your head, both the person conducting the shaving and the person being shaved are implicit in the prohibition. This establishes a comparison between the person conducting the shaving and the person being shaved as follows. Wherever the person being shaved is liable for having violated the prohibition, the person conducting the shaving is also liable. Therefore, since the minor is himself not old enough to be liable to the punishment, the person shaving him is also not liable. According to Rabbi Huda bar Hava, the Torah does not differentiate between a man and a woman as far as the prohibition of shaving someone's head is concerned. Where it is forbidden to do so, women are just as forbidden for men. For this reason, he criticized Rav Huna, who does differentiate. So I understand Rav Huna. I just want to better understand Rav Ada bar Hava. He holds that when the Torah says you shall not round the corners of your head, he's saying the person that's conducting the shaving and the person being shaved are implicit in this prohibition. So there's some sort of comparison between the person shaving and being shaved. Where the person being shaved is liable for having violated the prohibition, the person conducting the shaving is also liable. And this minor, since he's not old enough to be liable to punishment, the person shaving is also. But according to what? What? Okay, Rav Huna, I understand. He's saying that
he holds that if you
that women
cut a
could
kid's payas, you're chayav. But a woman who cuts the kid's payas is not chayav, right?
Right, because they're not subject to the pasuk talks about rounding the corners of your head and destroying the beard. Mm-hmm. But you don't have a beard, so you can destroy. Rav Ada bar Hava holds that when it says you shall not round the corners of your heads, it's comparing the two. So if you personally, there's a connection between the person shaving and the person being shaved. Meaning, wherever you're shaving, if you're being shaved and you're not allowed to do that, and you're going to be chayiv, then the person with the razor or whatever it is going to also be chayiv. There's a connection between you two.
Yes, that's Rav Ada bar Hava, right?
Yeah, but what I don't understand is, according to Rav Ada bar Hava, there's no isser for these children.
Kid, right? I was just thinking that also.
Therefore, since according to Rav Ada bar Hava, what did Chova do wrong? Let's look at the last paragraph in 24. When Rav Ada expressed astonishment that Chova was rounding the heads of her children, he was disputing Rav Huna's contention that a woman is exempted from the prohibition of shaving others. Since Rav Huna forbids a man to shave children's heads, it is clear that Rav Huna does not view the exemption of the person being shaved as creating an exemption for the barber. This is what Rav Ada disputed, and he therefore argued that according to Rav Huna's view, Chova should also be forbidden to shave her children's heads. According to Rav Ada bar Hava, he's okay with the woman shaving the head.
Her own head.
No, even her kid's head. Because the kids are not liable.
Right.
So if the kids are not liable, you're allowed to do it. There's a connection between you two. But according to you, Rav Huna, where it says, whoever is subject to the prohibition against destroying his beard is subject to the prohibition against rounding the corners of the head, I understand why women can shave their own heads because they don't have the beard issue. But why, according to you, is a woman allowed to shave a child's head? If a child has the issue with the beard,
Because he has the issue of the beard. Meaning a child eventually.
right.
Little boy will be in the Isser of.
Right. So according to you, Rav Huna, a woman should not be allowed to do that. That was Rav Bar Havas, not that because he holds a certain way. He had an issue with what Rav Huna was his wife's practice was, in saying that let her go shave her own head.
Got it. You were saying according to your Huna that anyone who has a shchasa is in this prohibition, but the boy has a shchasa, so how is she allowed to cut it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll Lema Hakavas Kalarosh Tanahi. They want to say that the question about rounding the entire head is the subject of Machlekes Tanayim, and then we're going to go into a brisa which discusses this Machlekes Tanayim, which we will continue tomorrow night in continuity.
Yes, it's tomorrow night.
Yes, Nunzah.
Wonderful.
Shkaya.